right, you know what time it is. Live from the Bare Muscle Garage, it's time for Fit Crew. What do we got in store for you today? Let's go ahead and share this on screen. So today, not gonna lie, we've got not a short one for you. We've got one that's gonna take some time. It's what we call a chipper style workout, specifically a pyramid chipper. We're gonna start off with some bike, then some power snatches, then some box jump overs, then some overhead squats, then some burpee box jump overs. And then we're gonna work our way all the way back down that pyramid to the bike. We may be looking at this thinking, all right, he has most definitely finally lost his mind. Am I even going to get halfway through this? Don't worry, guys. As always, we're going to warm up really well, and we're going to go through all the options that will allow you to do this workout or your version of it. Right where you are, using what you have, doing what you can and should. But let's go ahead and start this general warm-up, which is going to activate the muscles that we're going to be using in today's workout. So the first move we're going to do is stepping mountain climbers. And let's go ahead and have twin one demonstrate 2 stepping mountain climbers on each side. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then we're going to do some alternating forward arm raises like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 stepping mountain climbers on each side. Now, it could be that doing this off the ground is a bit hard on the wrist, in which case we got you covered with some options like Betty Boop is doing over here. We could do some incline mountain climbers from an inclined surface, such as a wall, a counter, or a sofa. We're going to raise that knee up to that elbow, keeping a nice plank position. But if we're doing this off the ground as prescribed, we've got those hands on the ground in a nice plank position. We're taking a big step forward, slightly to the side, until we get the feet outside the hands at the top, keeping those hips nice and low throughout the movement. So good job on these stepping mountain climbers. Next, we've got some bird dogs, and let's go ahead and have twin one demonstrate 2 bird dogs on each side for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then the bird dog is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 bird dogs together. So it could be that this is a bit hard on the wrists and the knees, in which case we got you covered with some options. We can do the dead bug, and let's have twin one demonstrate here. That's going to be where we're laying on our back and we've got the arms in the air, knees in the air, and we are lowering opposite arm, opposite leg, while keeping the other arm and leg stationary. But if we're doing the bird dog as prescribed, we're on hands and knees, raising opposite arm, opposite leg, holding the top for about 2 seconds before switching sides. So good job on these bird dogs or dead bugs, whichever version is better for you. Next, we got the dynamic calf stretch. Let's go ahead and have twin one demonstrate 2 reps of the dynamic calf stretch for us on each side. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then we're actually going to do some dynamic elbows like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 reps of the dynamic calf stretch on each side. Now, it could be that this is a bit hard on the wrist for us, in which case we got you covered with some options, just like Betty Boop is doing over here. We could do this from an incline position, and we're piking those hips back and then bending the one knee, pushing the back heel into the ground. But if we are doing this off the ground as prescribed, then we are piking the hips up, bending the one knee, pushing the back heel into the ground, holding that for about 2 seconds before switching sides. So good job here on the dynamic calf, whichever version is better for you. Next, we got some walk the floors. Let's go ahead and have twin one demonstrate one walk the floor for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then the walk the floor is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 5 walk the floors together. Now, it could be that getting all the way down, chest and thighs to the ground is a challenge, in which case we got some options. We can do the walk the floor down to the plank. Let's have twin one demonstrate here. We're going to reach down, touch the toes, walk it out to the plank, walk it back, and then reach back at the top. Or it could be that we do this off of an inclined surface. We're going to start with our feet up against an inclined surface, and then we're going to get our hands down, take a couple steps back, then a couple steps forward, and then we clap overhead. But if we're doing this off the ground as prescribed, we are reaching down, touching those toes, walking it out to the plank, getting the chest and thighs on the ground, and then walking it back and reaching back at the top. So good job here on these walk the floors, whichever version is better for you. Next, we've got some air squats. Let's go ahead and have twin one demonstrate 2 air squats for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then the air squats are going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 air squats together. So on these air squats, we've got the feet shoulder width apart. And we're going to take a deep breath in, bracing that core. And we're going to initiate by sending the hips back and down, pushing the knees out to the side until we get all the way down, hips below the knees, keeping the heels on the ground, driving through those heels until we get all the way back up to a fully standing locked out position. Now, it could be that getting those hips all the way down below the knees is a challenge, in which case we can do some assisted squats, such as sitting and standing to a chair or a footstool or a medicine ball or whatever level of assistance is needed. So good job here on these air squats. Next, let's find a nice sturdy surface that we feel comfortable stepping up onto and perhaps down to the other side, if applicable. This could be a plyo box, it could be a sturdy coffee table, it could be a footstool or a step ladder or some stairs if that's the best option for us. But whatever the case, it should be super sturdy and we should feel comfortable with the height of it as well. So with this in mind, we're going to do some step overs, and let's have Betty Boop demonstrate 2 step overs for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then the step overs are going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 step overs together. Now, it could be that due to our setup, the most sturdy and safe option for us is actually to step into the object and just do step ups and step back down in the same direction, just like we see Twin One doing here, which would also be the case for stairs or a step ladder if that ends up being the option that we use. But if we are doing the step over as prescribed, then we've got an object that we can step up, both feet down on the other side. And slow is smooth, smooth is fast. We are being deliberate about our movement in this motion. So good job here on the step ups or step overs, whichever is better for us. Next, we're going to grab a super light dumbbell, 10 pounds or less, 5 kilos or less. Or if we don't have a light dumbbell, then any other light household object will do. It could be a shoe, a water bottle, a teddy bear, or something along those lines. But with this object in hand, let's look on as Twin One demonstrates 2 reps of a single dumbbell deadlift with the object between the feet. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then the deadlift is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 deadlifts, 5 on each side. So on these deadlifts, the object is starting on the ground in between the feet. And we've got those hips super low, bending the knees, but the chest is up, shoulders back. We're looking straight ahead. And we're going to take a deep breath in and brace that core as we drive the ground away, getting to a fully standing locked out position with the shoulders back at the top. And then we're going to brace that core on the way back down as well. So good job on these deadlifts. Next, we've got some strict press. Let's go ahead and have Betty Boop demonstrate 2 reps of the strict press for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then the strict press is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 reps of the strict press together, 5 on each side. So on the strict press, this object is starting on the shoulder, elbow pointing forward. And we're going to take a deep breath in, brace the core as we press that arm up and back, getting the bicep into the ear. And then we are bringing it back down with that elbow pointing forward on the way back down as well. So good job here on this strict press. Next, let's grab a broomstick or a mop or a PVC pipe. And while we're doing that, we're going to look on as Twin One demonstrates 2 reps of the pass-through for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then the pass-through is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 reps of the pass-through together. So on the pass-through, we've got a nice wide grip on that broomstick, and we are pulling it up and over all the way around, touching that lower back in the back, belly button in the front, And then, of course, we are remembering the pass-through smile, which relaxes the muscles and helps us to have a nice fluid range of motion. And so good job here on these pass-throughs. And finally, here in the activation phase, we've got some overhead squats. And let's go ahead and have twin one demonstrate 2 reps of the overhead squat, and then let's hold the third at the bottom. So notice a couple key things here, which is going to be very important for us as we make decisions in today's workout. Notice how twin one is able to get all the way down, hips below the knees, heels stay on the ground. Those arms are locked out, no bend in the elbow whatsoever. And she's able to pull back on that broomstick, keeping it behind her head. If any of these things are a challenge for us, then we are not adding weight to the overhead squat position today. Let's go ahead and stand that up, twin one. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then we're actually going to do some behind the neck press for the overhead squat like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 reps of the overhead squat together. So on this overhead squat, it could be that we were modifying by doing some assisted squats earlier, and we can continue to do that here. We can sit and stand to a chair or a footstool or whatever the case, optionally holding that broomstick overhead if we feel our circumstances allow, but pushing up, pressing back on that broomstick. But if we're doing the overhead squat as prescribed, once again, we are getting all the way down, keeping the heels on the ground, actively pressing back as we are descending in order to keep that broomstick in the position it's supposed to be. So good job here on these overhead squats. Well, that is it for the activation phase. Now we're going to move on to the movement prep, which is where we're going to practice specifically the 5 movements that we are doing in today's workout. The first move that we're doing is the bike. So if you happen to have some type of exercise bike, what I'd like you to do is to hop onto that bike right now. If it has any resistance on it, let's put the resistance all the way down as well. But we'll do about a 1-minute bike to make sure that the settings are set to the way that we like and to start to get the muscle memory going and the blood flowing. But most of us are actually going to be doing a body weight version of the bike, which is a combination of mountain climbers and plank shoulder taps. And let's have twin one show us 2 calories on our body weight bike to see what that looks like. That is 1. That is 2. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then each calorie is going to look like this. That is 1. That is 2. So let's all join in here. Let's do 5 calories on our body weight bike. Now, if we were modifying those mountain climbers and plank shoulder taps in the warm-up, we can continue to do that here, doing some incline knee to elbow, followed by some incline plank shoulder taps. And every knee tap tap equals a calorie. But if we're doing this off the ground as prescribed, notice how twin one is now jumping for joy at these body weight bike calories. We want to be able to jump these as much as possible, as much as our circumstances allow, but remembering that we can always step out these mountain climbers as needed. So good job here on the bike. The second move that we're doing in today's workout is the dumbbell power snatch. And let's grab that super light dumbbell once again, and let's look on as twin one demonstrates 2 reps of the power snatch on the same arm. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then that power snatch is going to look like this. So let's all join in here and let's do 10 reps of the power snatch, 5 on each side. So on this power snatch, that object is starting on the ground, in between the feet, both heads of the dumbbell on the ground at the start of each and every rep. And we're going to jump and punch that dumbbell overhead, getting that arm back into the bicep of the arm into the ear, and then tapping the ground with both heads of the dumbbell every single time. And in today's workout, I'm recommending that we actually do these in sets of 5 on an arm before switching sides. But you can also choose to alternate each rep if you prefer that. So good job on these snatches. The third move we are doing today is the single dumbbell overhead squat. And we're actually going to practice this with just our fist right now. Let's have Twin One demonstrate 2 reps of the overhead squat with the same fist in the air. And if we are doing this from the seated position, we're actually going to do some tricep extensions like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 reps of the overhead squat, 5 with each arm. Now, we were practicing the overhead squat with that broomstick earlier. And as we mentioned, if we are struggling with any portion of that broomstick overhead squat, getting deep enough, keeping the arm straight, keeping the heels on the ground, pulling back on it, then let's go no heavier than just our fist today. And perhaps, especially if we are doing assisted squats like we see Betty Boop doing here, then that's an option right there that we could do the overhead squat with just the fist in the air, sitting and standing as needed until we can improve our overhead position. And especially with the single arm, we see that it really is a challenge to keep that arm locked out. And notice how Twin One has the other arm out for balance, which helps as well. Really need to make sure we have a strong overhead position if we're even thinking about adding weight to this. So let's keep it just a fist if we're still working on the overhead position. But good job on the overhead squat, whichever version we choose to do. The fourth move that we are doing in today's workout is the box jump over. And let's go ahead and have Twin One demonstrate 2 reps of the box jump over for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then we're actually going to use a light dumbbell. And that box jump over is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 5 reps of a box jump over. Now, it could be that jumping is just not something we're doing. That's okay. We can continue to do these step overs or step ups like we were doing in the warm up, and like we see Betty Boop doing here. But something I'd like you to consider is if you have a sturdy low surface, such as a 1-inch or a 2-inch plate or something along those lines, it could be that, hey, maybe I can jump up to a 1-inch plate or something like that. But if we choose to jump, no matter what, like we see Twin One doing here, we need to make sure that A, we feel comfortable with the jumping motion, B, that the surface upon which we are jumping is sturdy. It is not going to move if we jump up onto it. If that surface is not sturdy or we just don't feel comfortable doing it, let's stick to the steps instead. So good job here on these jumps or these steps, whichever version is better for you. And then lastly, we have the burpee box jump over, which is going to be at the peak of our pyramid chipper today. Let's have Twin One demonstrate 2 reps of this burpee box jump over. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then the burpee box jump over is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 6 practice reps of this burpee box jump over. Now, if we were modifying that jump over, that step over in any way, we're probably going to want to use a different option for this burpee box jump over. It could be that, you know what, we get to this point and doing just the burpee or even an incline burpee is going to be a better option for us. So let's have Betty Boop demonstrate here an incline burpee where we are starting with our feet up against an inclined surface. And then we take a couple steps back. Optionally, we include a push-up, getting that chest to touch, and then we step forward and clap overhead. And then we could just do 10 reps of that and call that a day at the middle, at the peak of the pyramid chipper in this workout. And let's not worry about the jump or step, just the burpee. Or it could be, you know what, I'm getting my burpees closer to the ground. I can do the burpee down to the plank. I know Betty Boop's been working on that. Maybe we can get our hands on the ground and get our feet back. And then our feet forward. And then we clap overhead. And we do just 10 of those at the peak of the pyramid in the workout. If we're doing either of those options, let's not worry about the jump or the step over in combination with it. Let's just do those burpees and call it a day. But if we're doing the whole motion, then we start with the burpee motion, getting the chest and thighs to the ground. As we come up out of it, let's make sure we step up close to the object that we're jumping to and hit a nice solid jump. We don't want to lose focus there. So we hit the burpee, we step up to the object, then we hit that jump. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. It's only 10 reps of these at the top of this workout. So let's make sure we are focusing every single rep. So good job here on these burpee box jump overs, or just the burpee, if that's a better option for us. Well, now it's ramp up time. If you've been earning badges and you'd like to add some weight to do either the scaled, intermediate, or RX weight in today's workout, then let's start to gradually add some weight, doing about 3 to 5 practice reps of both the power snatch and possibly the overhead squat at a time. Let's remember, it could be that we can go heavier on the snatch, or maybe we need to go lighter on that overhead squat using even just our fist if our overhead mobility is a concern. So we can definitely have 2 different weights as needed. But especially if we've not been earning badges or just getting back into this after a long time off, then please let's not add any weight. But whether we're adding weight or not, let's pay close attention to the following checklist. Number 1, please make sure your device is fully charged or plugged in so we can get through this whole workout without losing you. Number 2, let's grab some water. Let's take a sip. And let's make sure we got our water nearby so we can take a sip as needed all throughout the workout. Number 3, I'm going to give everyone a 3, 2, 1, go countdown. And that's how you can synchronize your timer with mine if you choose to use one. Number 4, music. Super important, especially in a longer chipper like we have today. We want a good amount of songs that are going to keep us pumped up and motivated, maybe even some epic movie soundtracks, whatever the case. What's on your playlist? You can blast your music as loud as you want, as long as you can still hear me helping you throughout the workout. And lastly, how are we keeping track of our progress? This is a chipper, meaning we're just starting from the top, working our way through this big old list until we get back to the beginning at the end. And it's easy to forget what's coming up next unless we came prepared, like good teachers' pets do. So if you came prepared and you have the workout written down, perhaps even with some whiteboard art, then let's see it and let's take this teacher's pet picture. So teacher's pet picture in 3, 2, 1. Awesome. I'm going to bring the workout back on screen one more time, and then we'll get going. So in just about a minute, we're going to start this timer, and we're about to do this pyramid chipper, meaning we're going to start with 30 calories on the bike, then 25 dumbbell power snatches, then 20 box jump overs, then 15 dumbbell overhead squats, 10 burpee box jump overs, and then we work our way back down that pyramid, the 15 squats, 20 jump overs, 25 snatch, 30 cal bike. Most of us, for the bike, we're going to be doing the body weight version. So we're doing 30 sets of those mountain climber plank shoulder taps at the start of the workout and then at the end. It's going to feel very different at the beginning than at the end. That's going to be a mental push. Let's choose the version that's good for us, whether it's off the ground or off the incline. If we do have an exercise bike, it could be that we need to scale the amount of calories in order to try to hit the target window we're looking for today. So we're looking for that 30 calories to take us somewhere between 2 to 4 minutes max. If we feel like it's going to take us over 4 minutes, then let's scale that down to a number we can hustle to reach within no more than 4 minutes, preferably about 3 minutes we're looking for on the 30 cal bike. And let's remember, we are not adding weight to these snatches and especially the overhead squats unless we've been earning badges. And then in the case of the overhead squats, let's make sure we have that strong overhead mobility. If we're struggling to keep the arms straight, heels on the ground, getting low enough, then let's not add weight to that at all. Let's just use our fists, modifying as needed. And let's make sure we have safe, comfortable, sturdy options for the jump overs and the burpee box jump overs. It could be that we choose just to do the burpees without any type of jump or step over once we get to that part of the workout. So your score is going to be the time it takes you to get through this pyramid chipper, starting with the bike, working through the snatches, box jump overs, 15 squats, 10 burpee box jump overs, and then working our way back down the pyramid on the other side. So if you are good to go, give me a thumbs up, and then we will get this going. I'm going to give us a 10-second countdown, and then I'm going to highlight Twin 1 to get us going. So here we go, guys. 30 mountain climber plank shoulder taps. And then we are climbing this pyramid, working through the snatches, jump overs, squats, burpee box jump overs, and then back down the other side. Starting in 10 seconds. Let's get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. And we are off on these 30 mountain climber plank shoulder taps. Whether we're doing these off the ground, whether we are doing these off the counter, whether we have an exercise bike or some other hybrid option, Mighty Mouse has been crushing it with these hybrid options. And love to see Mighty Mouse's progress dedication and discipline paying off, doing most of these workouts from the standing position, but making good use of the tools that she has. But this is the start of the workout here. This is not a short one, so those who've been doing this program for a while understand the power of pacing. We want to start strong, but we want to start smart. And on a chipper style workout like this, which is a stamina focus, we're hitting big sets of the same movement over and over and over again until we get through the end of it. We have to understand what our threshold is, break up these moves accordingly. So we see Twin One taking a smart strategic break and then heading back into it. That's what we want to see here. Moving strong, but moving smart. And we're looking to get through this first set of mountain climber plank shoulder taps or whatever version of the bike you're doing within a target window of somewhere between 2 to 4 minutes. And so we are coming up on the lower end of that 2-minute mark. And we are moving nice and steady, getting through this big set here. Now, those who've been doing this program for a while also understand that we have lots of different types of workouts. Sometimes we do rounds for time. Sometimes we do some intervals, some battles, things like that. We do these chippers only once every so often, but they are important to do every once in a while. And just like that, we've got Twin One on these snatches. We've got Betty Boop on these snatches. And you can choose to alternate however you like. I recommend switching every 5 before switching arms there. Twin One, going with what looks like the 5 strategy. And we are tapping the ground with both heads of the dumbbell, powering that up with the power of the hips and the legs. Mighty Mouse on these snatches as well, using a nice big dumbbell there. So great work here. Let's make sure we get those hips super low every time we want to use those legs and not our back. And so bending the knees, getting the hips low, jumping, punching that arm back. Getting through these snatches here. And after we get through the 25 snatches, we are then moving on to the 20 box jump overs. So let's stay with it. Let's get through it. Let's get to it. Hey, on that note, Mighty Mouse already on these step ups. So choosing to do the step ups for the overs. We've got Betty Boop doing some step overs. And Twin One also choosing to do some step ups. So moving nice and steady here. Switching up some steps with some jumps. So a very smart option to regulate the heart rate, because we know we have to come back down the other side of this pyramid. So let's be smart with our energy levels. And then after we get through the 20 steps, we're now on to the 15 squats. But most of us still working through the 20 jumps or steps or a combination thereof. But Mighty Mouse is now on these overhead squats here, doing some overhead sit to stand. So great work there, Mighty Mouse, working on that strong overhead position in addition to some super smooth sit to stands going on. So great work there. Betty Boop working through those step overs. Twin One finishing off some step overs. And there they go. Twin one, picking up that dumbbell, about to hit some overhead squats. I would also recommend 5s at a time on each arm. Betty Boop doing some overhead squats. And let's really make sure, if we're adding any weight to this motion whatsoever, that we are hitting all the performance points, getting the hips all the way down below the knees, keeping that arm locked out. Otherwise, we could just use our fists, but we are looking for strong overhead position. Mighty Mouse now on to the burpees at the peak of the pyramid here. Making some quick time on this. All the way down, all the way up. That's what we want to see. But stable overhead position. And we've got twin one now at the peak of the pyramid, hitting these burpee box jump overs. Once we get to this point, the peak of the pyramid, it's an awesome feeling, yet it's also one where we have to get mentally tough, because we realize, hey, we got to go back down the other side. But you know what? Just one rep at a time, making our way through this. Whether we're doing the burpee box jump overs or just the burpees, could be that, you know what? I got to the peak of the pyramid here, and I've decided that just working on my burpees is enough without having to add the jump over or step over portion of it. But Mighty Mouse now on the squats on the way back down the side of this pyramid. Twin one finishing off that last burpee box jump over. And one thing to pay attention to, we were doing especially 5s at a time on the way up. Let's now start with the opposite arm on both the overhead squats and on the snatches to make sure we even things out. If we forget which arm it is, it's not the end of the world. But if we were doing 5s at a time, let's start with the other arm if we remember, to have even reps. And we've got Betty Boop on these squats now, working on it, getting low, wisely choosing to use just the fist while working on that overhead position. Twin one finishing off what looks like the last couple squats here before moving back to those 20 overs. Mighty Mouse already on the overs here, doing the step ups. Betty Boop still working on that overhead position, making a wise choice here, using just the fist. Twin one making her way through the 20 here. We were pacing the first part, and now we are putting our foot a little further down on the pedal to the ground on the other end of this pyramid. Mighty Mouse back on these snatches. And let's remember, if we remember to start with the other arm, whatever arm that was that we started on the first round, we're starting with the other arm to balance things out, especially if we're choosing to do 5s at a time. But great work here, everyone on pace, on track to finish within the target window. But we are doing this. Betty Boop choosing to actually hit some jumps. on the other side of this pyramid here. So she was doing some steps on the way up, doing some jumps on the way down. Smart choice, using the steps as a bit of a warm-up. And now feeling confident to hit these jumps. But twin one, cycling through these snatches, tapping both heads of the dumbbell on the ground, using the hips and the legs to jump and punch that up. Mighty Mouse taking a bit of a breather, then continuing on. But we are working our way through this here. Hitting those snatches. Now that Mighty Mouse was mentally psyched up, about to hit this last set of bike. Hitting the 30 back and forths. Betty Boop and Twin One battling through the snatches here. Keeping it close to the body. Getting the hips low, using the power of the legs. But we are fighting our way down the other end of this pyramid. And we know what to do when we finish. We hit that buzzer, we yell time, we cheer on our family. So let's get to it. Let's get through it. Let's do our thing. And there goes Twin One, jumping for joy. Last set of bike. Excited to get through it here. Betty Boop, just a couple snatches to go. And about to join on that last bike as well. We were pacing, now we're racing. This is the last set of 30 mountain climber plank shoulder taps, 30 calories, whatever version we're doing. We are fighting through these. We are doing our thing. Breathing, pushing, getting through this. But nice work here. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Nothing to it but to do it. Maybe breaking this up a little bit smarter at the end. And Mighty Mouse across the finish line. Great work there, Mighty Mouse. Betty Boop on this bike. Twin One on this bike. Smart, short, quick sets, quick rests. Nothing to it but to do it. Making our way through. Breathing, pushing. And it looks like Twin One across the finish line. And let's cheer on Betty Boop. Betty Boop across the finish line. Well, that was crazy as always. But now we're at the best part of the workout, which is the cool down stretch. And this stretch is super important to help us fight soreness, increase flexibility, so we can come back day after day, staying consistent and committed. So the first stretch we're gonna do is the saddle eagle stretch. That's where we're in a kneeling position, It helps to have a towel underneath or even in between the legs. And we are going to sit back toward those heels. And then the eagle part of the stretch is where we get one elbow on top of the other like this. And if we're doing this from a seated position, we're just doing the eagle part of the stretch like this. But while we're doing this, let's reflect on the workout. Let's do some high-low buffalo. So, high. What is one thing you feel you did well in today's workout? Low. What's something you want to do better the next time it shows up? And buffalo. What's something that surprised you about today's workout? While we're thinking about that, let's switch to the other side of this eagle. And let's have twin one share the high-low buffalo. Reminder, if we're doing this from the seated position, we're just doing the eagle part of the stretch like this. But what is your high-low buffalo twin one?
Whew. I think my high were the box jumps. Low was the burpee box jump because I was able to go through them pretty fast. Low was my energy level. I felt really draggy today. So I really had to push myself through this workout because it was getting really difficult for me. So I was like trying to mentally push myself through, got through it. And buffalo was getting through those mountain climber plank shoulder taps because I felt like those were for forever. But I got through them.
Man, all good things must come to an end. Know how much you love those, but you definitely powered through it and proud of that mental toughness. So good job, twin one. Let's go ahead and switch to the pigeon. We're gonna get one leg up and across the chest, other leg back, opening up the hips like this. And while we're doing this, let's hear from Mighty Mouse. And if we're doing this from the seated position, then we're gonna get one elbow up and pull to the side like this. But what is your high-low buffalo, Mighty Mouse?
My high was the dumbbell power snatch. I didn't have a low. The buffalo was that last round of doing the rows. I had to push myself through it because I had ran out of energy. And so I it took my time and got through it. Then try to speed up any faster because so I was able to make it through it.
Man, if you ran out of energy, we wouldn't be able to tell. You put on an amazing performance. So good job scrounging up that energy, both physical and mental, to get through this. And let's go ahead and hit pigeon on the other side. And while we're here, let's hear from Betty Boop. And if we're doing this from the seated position, we're getting the other arm up, pulling to the side like this. But what is your high-low buffalo, Betty Boop?
Wow. My high was were the snatches, and my low was probably the overhead squats. I took a little lightweight, but I got rid of that. So that was my low. And my buffalo was, I thought this was a crazy WOD when I saw it. We were discussing it beforehand. And so it was all of that and more. That's all I got to say. It was a doozy. It was a sweat fest. So whew, I'm glad I got through it. Thank you, Coach.
And get through it you did, and that is the power of the group right there. Well, that's our WOD, that's our stretch, that's our high-low buffalo. You know what's left, this sweaty selfie, because does it count if we don't take that selfie? Let's flex on the camera, and let's take this selfie. Sweaty selfie in 3, 2, 1. And crazy face. Now let's put the fist in the middle for the cheer. On 3, 2 claps. Fit crew. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Fit crew!
Fit crew. Thank you so much. If you enjoy this program, then please give this channel a subscribe, a like, and a share. Thank you very much, and see you next time.